Alright, so in this video I'll show you some uncanniness of a particular Linux distribution I am fond of and use day-to-day basis. So when you choose to use Linux as your primary OS, which I have been using for 26 years precisely and exclusively, on desktop, laptop, whatever the device I have for this long. So you are supposed to have DIY attitude, because sometime asking for help left you to nowhere, and importantly gave you some sort of incompetence issue, which you'll soon overcome if you are curious enough, because most of the canned answer or replies, they haven't tried the stuff you already done. From their canned answer, it shows you lack of substance, so you can easily bypass or ignore those replies. My personal way of dealing and keeping my sanity. So in this video, I'm sitting on a particular distribution and there is a huge big package. I'm sitting on Gentoo right now. Okay, and there is a huge package because Gentoo is a source-based distribution, so it started to giving a binary support of late, but specifically it's a source-based distribution. That means it's pulled down the source from the upstream, build it on locally, and tailored it according to your architecture and your preferences using something called use flag. So I was struggling because I'm having a very moderate kind of laptop at this moment, so it was failing with a low memory, so I couldn't figure it out initially. Now Gentoo has a wonderful wiki, which I missed somehow a particular section which explicitly tell what needs to be done when this kind of big packages. I'm talking about WebKit GTK, which is huge, and I use 3 browsers. I've mentioned it many a times in my previous videos. Firefox is my primary one, which fortunately doesn't use it, or I use it from source. VIMB is Vim based, and next is Emacs based, libs based, you can say. So 2 of them require WebKit GTK as a hard dependency, so I have to have that stuff in my system to get those browsers working, VIMB and next. So I was trying to get the WebKit GTK compilation on Gentoo, and it failed due to some memory error, and I couldn't figure it out initially. Then I went back to the wiki, and some section guided me explicitly that what needs to be done. Okay, so that's what I did. Now the result is, it is slow, but the machine is not yet given up, or the compilation process not yet done. Let me start with a glimpse of it. Oops, I should not. So you can see it's hooving 1 day and almost 1 hour. It's still merging in Gentoo stump. That means it's getting jail into the system what I have. So I started it yesterday. Okay, so it takes long time. There are other packages which take even more time, depend on your underlying hardware spec. Okay, so what I did, so because it was failing, so I went visit to the wiki, and it suggested me to, because of the job and the load was quite high on that machine, so it's ran out of memory and terminating the process. Okay, and the wiki, Gentoo wiki, clearly mentioned what needs to be done, so that's what I did. First, we have to create so we need to go to this directory. If it is not there, the env directory under etc portage, you need to create. Then you have to create a conf file like that. The first one, because if you have a limited RAM and lots of packages are big, so you'll prefer to compile those in on disk. Okay, so you instruct in this particular, you can see not temp fs, and it shows this. So it basically directing portage, so use this for big packages on this particular location. I have a LVM partition which is mounted on home, which is having a bigger space, so big package will safely compile there instead of a root partition which is having a very limited and minimal space. Okay, so this is the entry you should have, writing no temp fs, because why we compile in temp, because it's mounted in the memory, so the compilation become faster. If you have a plenty RAM or memory, you should use portage var temp, should be mounted on the RAM, and you should compile there, so it will become much faster. The second one, let me see, portage env. As you can see from the name, makeup jobs webkit gtk conf. This is the package which was failing due to lack of memory, and the process was so high, because while doing so, because the machine is not idle anytime, while doing other work same time, causing a lot of trouble. But the Gentoo wiki directed in the right direction, telling what needs to be done. This is having this. Makeops is a variable which has got a predefined value in the make.conf file. If I do, okay, so you can see my job label is 10 and load is 14, because my CPU can accommodate that. But keeping those things and compiling these big packages will clobber or gobbles up all the memories, making the compilation failed. So as Gentoo wiki is prescribed, I have to add this. You can see the file which is having makeup and the job. If you have a number of jobs in a makeup option, the last job variable value will taken this in this case 2, right? Instead of 10, it takes 2 while building that particular package. Now if I go here, this is the file where you have to mention package basis compilation flags, we called it flags, or system wide. Two things you show from this screen. On the first thing, 2 files are there, okay, for 2 different purposes. No temp fs, which means it having a location where more memories are there on disk stuff. Instead of compiling inside the RAM, you should compile it on the disk. If you have SSD, it should be faster, but it accumulates bigger one like this package. And the next one, to choose a particular job for a specific package, that the system should not run out of memory, which is what happened before employing this strategy, failing. Okay, now this file has this. You see all the lots of packages I don't have in my system. This file is coming from machine to machine over the years. Okay, so a lot of packages here you are seeing I don't have in my system, but few of them have. One of them is WebKit GTK. As I mentioned, why it is there in my system. So what you can do, notemp.fs direct while compiling that particular package, that it should use the on disk compilation method. That means it should not compile the package on RAM, because I have a RAM constraint. So it should compile on the SSD because it has got a bigger capacity. It might be a little slow, but it has got a bigger capacity. One thing is out with that particular conf file. The next one is make up jobs. As I said, if there is a number of jobs variable, the last one is taken. My original jobs mentioned the make.conf file is J10, you can see on at top, but the specific file which I have mentioned along with notemp.fs conf is having jobs too. It might be slow, as you can see, it took over almost 1 day and still merging. Okay, but it makes sure that it should not fail to compile. Ultimate your goal is to get the damn packages in your system, so other software can depend on that, can start working on it. So this kind of maneuvering is a kind of boon in disguise. Okay, so you have to find it out. So, and Gentoo has got a reputation for ages to having a wonderful wiki. Okay, so somehow I missed it for a long time, or you could directly change your makeup, which might slow down the trivial packages. That's why this specific maneuver is more useful for a specific package, not for the whole system. For whole system, I could use with the full throttle of my CPU capability, and it's very fast. For this kind of big packages, there should be a restriction imposed, so the machine should not freeze, because you will be doing a lot of other tasks while these things will be compiling in the background. You don't want your system to be frozen or provide some sort of hiccup. That's why lowering the value of job makes the system alive. That's why you can see I'm recording it while it is using in the background still. Okay, so these are the particular tricks and tips which might come to know while using a particular distribution. Maintaining a Linux distribution is a dark art. No single one is maintained in a similar way. Okay, some of them has got a better idea, some of them has got a filthy ideas, so you have to live with it if you opt for something. So before I let you go, so one last time, if I do this and why it gets selected, my keystroke sometime is very okay. I don't know why it is like that. See, it is still going and it could be finished anytime soon. Okay, it's 1 hour past 1 day. Just because of that, I lowered the job level. That's why it is taking this much of time, but it makes sure it gets everything done. If I have a high job level, likewise it was there in previous instance, it failed. Okay, so these are the thing you need to know when you are sitting on an open source operating system. You have to spend some time to find out the nitty-gritty details of it. Okay, I hope it will help some people who are into it. Thanks for watching.